Hey guys, how's it going? It's the Tominator. Okay, so I wanted to make another video for the 212 division at this year's Mr. Olympia, because after prejudging, I was pretty sure that Kamal Elgargni would retain the title. He was just so much bigger and structurally superior to the eventual winner Shaun Clarida, that even if Shaun's conditioning was a little better, I figured it would be tough for him to overcome the size and width differential, especially considering Kamal was the reigning champ, and people were saying he looked even better than last year. Well, I don't know about that. I'd have to go back and do a side-by-side comparison, but Kamal certainly wasn't off by any means. He looked great too. And the dude is in his late 40s, believe it or not. I think 48 or 49 years old here. I don't even know if Dexter maintained his physique this well at that age, so hats off to the veteran. But then again, Shaun looked insane. Just out of his mind good, especially here at the finals, where I think he came on even stronger. And if anything, Kamal started to fade a little. I mean, look right here in this front relaxed. Despite giving up a couple inches of height and having a more narrow structure, you would never know that based on this look. He looks wider and fuller than Kamal here, and his conditioning was so damn good. Man, nobody in the open class showed up this on, not even Big Ramy or Hadi Chupan. His muscle bellies are full and pumped everywhere, and his skin looks ready to burst. From the side though, I am leaning towards Kamal. I think his abs look better and the glutes are more detailed, plus I prefer the way he's turning more to accentuate that upper body taper. Clarida should be doing that as well. I think it would help him. In the rear relaxed. Yeah, you can see that both these guys were on their game. Shredded glutes and hams, really tight through the backs. This could go either way. Clarida's back is thicker, but Kamal's is wider and looks a little drier. I'd give a slight edge to Elgargni here, but not by much. And from the other side, I'm still going with Kamal. His midsection's more defined and he's broader up top. Clarida's definitely fuller though. It's really noticeable through the arms and chest. And in the front double, I had him winning this in prejudging and still give it to him here. Clarida's muscle bellies are just so much rounder than Kamal's, whether we're talking bis and tris or the outer quad sweep. Even his lats are flaring out wider here. It's different footage and different lighting, so it's tough to say for sure, but I swear Kamal is looking much flatter here compared to the prejudging. His coloring doesn't look as good either, even after I touched up the clip to make it brighter and more flattering. Now, one minor thing you can nitpick is that Shaun's left arm is bigger than his right, so technically that's not symmetrical, and maybe we should dock him for that. I always see comments like this where people point that out and argue exactly this. The reason I rarely bother to mention it though is because if you look close enough, a lot of bodybuilders have one arm that is noticeably larger than the other. Phil has it, Dexter has it, Jay had it, Arnold had it. Hell, look here, even Kamal has it too. In his case, it's the right bicep that's bigger than the left. So yeah guys, it might not be ideal, but I don't count this as a major flaw that's going to be a real difference maker. Especially here where it's obvious Shaun is winning the pose regardless. In the front lat spread, I had Kamal handily beating him in this one in prejudging, but not so now. He's still wider and has the better structure, but Clarida looks improved through the pecs and lats and is holding his own. In fact, he's arguably winning even, given the greater level of polish and detail on his physique. I don't know about you guys, but my eyes keep going back to him. I'm pretty conflicted because it's tough to reward a smaller, narrower guy in a pose that's primarily about structure and V-taper, but Kamal's muscles just look a little flat and lifeless here compared to Clarida's. I'm going to tentatively give this one to Shaun, but I can see it going either way. I'm sure opinions will vary. In the side chest, however, I'm sticking with Elgargni. His pecs sit much better in this pose. They look way broader and more powerful. He's not quite as sharp through the lower body, but he's still got good separation and far better balance between the calves and thighs. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of Clarida in this shot. It doesn't look well put together proportionately, and I'm not sure leaning back like that is helping him. I'd be curious to see how he'd look if he twisted a little more and stood upright. From the back, Wow, they both look excellent. I think Shaun fares much better here in the finals with the more even lighting. His lower back was kind of getting lost in shadow in the prejudging, but he looks crazy here. What jumps out to me most is just compare the size of his shoulders to his waistline. That's mind-blowing. And the biceps are almost Coleman-esque. You can certainly see from this pose why some people say he's like a mini Ronnie. However, I'm still going to give it to Kamal. He's got a significant size advantage, and his back is peeled from top to bottom. You can even see the muscle fibers in his traps. His glutes are dialed in, and he's evidently the only one who didn't skip calf day. If Clarida was just a tad taller and had the same proportions, he'd win it easily. But this is bodybuilding, and mass does matter, especially when both guys have comparable levels of development and great conditioning. But it's definitely closer than I would have thought based on prejudging. The rear lat spread is another toss-up. Again, Kamal is bigger, of course, but his taper isn't the best here, so I'd have to give it to Clarida. His back is also probably more detailed now, especially in the lat and teres areas. The quad sweep downstairs also helps give him a better X-frame. That's the first time really I've noticed that you can even display an X-frame from the rear. It's rarely talked about, but there it is. Seems pretty obvious in retrospect. So Clarida's got that in his pocket too. As for the side tricep, I think this still has to go to Kamal. He's not crushing it here like he was in the prejudging, but his posing and presentation gives him a major advantage over Shaun, who looks a little awkward holding this one. I mean, I really like him through the arm and shoulder, and the lower body too, but his chest looks sort of bunched up and muscle-bound. I guess what I'm trying to say is that he just doesn't look comfortable holding the pose, whereas Kamal makes it appear almost effortless, and I think he looks more proportionate through the upper body. Plus, once again, Clarida's calves from the side look super weak and tiny. As for the ab and thigh, though, I'm now going to give it to Clarida. The stomach looks less bloated, and my god, the feathering in those quads is insane. It's cross striations for days. Look how high up his leg they go. Kamal doesn't seem to be quite as sharp as he was earlier, and Clarida, if anything, is even fuller and tighter. I love this pose for Elgargni, though. It's super aesthetic. It's actually better than his conventional ab shot. Okay, and in the most muscular, I tell you what, I thought this would go to Shaun easily, but Elgargni outdoes him here, at least in this comparison. Clarida's way too narrow now. This pose does not flatter his chest whatsoever, to put it mildly. I think he'd be better off dropping it from his repertoire altogether, at least until he's able to add some more width upstairs. Kamal might not have the same quad flare or vascularity, but he looks much more pleasing on a structural level, and his shoulders, pecs, and abs all look great. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen Shaun hit a crab there. That pose usually suits more arm-dominant guys, so I'm surprised that he didn't. As it is, I have to award the most muscular to Kamal. Alright, so they put him through the rounds again, but I'm not going to bother breaking it down this time since you've already heard my feedback. Okay, so tallying it up, I had Shaun winning the front double, front lat spread, back lat spread, and ab and thigh. Kamal took the side chest, back double, side tri, and most muscular, so that's 4 apiece. It's actually somewhat shocking that a structurally inferior bodybuilder like Shaun would take the lat spreads, while Kamal, with worse arms, wins the most muscular. But hey man, I just call it like I see it. So the $1 million question is, did Shaun Clarida deserve it? And the answer is, yes, absolutely. Look, it's not a matter of did he or didn't he. I think a strong argument could be made for Kamal winning too. I definitely had him in the lead after prejudging. So they were both deserving. This contest was extremely close, and that was rightfully reflected in the scorecard. It was only a 1-point decision after all. So that's literally as close as it can get. I think that assuming they split the mandatories 50-50, the tiebreaker should go to whoever brought more wow factor and or greater conditioning, and I think Shaun ticks both those boxes here. He showed up in what had to be the greatest shape of his life and basically maxed out his potential, if not exceeded it. Like, seriously guys, when they talk about giving it 110%, this is what they mean. I really don't see what else he could do to improve, given his underlying skeletal flaws. I guess the calves still need some work, but that's largely genetic and there's not usually a whole lot you can do to bring them up, especially when you've got high insertions like that. The chest also needs more width, but again, I think that this is more of a structural issue and I'm not sure it's possible for him to really fix that. So yeah, after reviewing this finals callout in depth, I have absolutely no problem with them giving it to Shaun. I'd say it was a fair decision. But what about you guys? Do you think he deserved it? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more. As always, this has been the Tominator, signing off, and I'll be back.